welcome to episode 4 of the Wildcast. Today, we are talking to Dr. Nina Beltran, a pulmonary specialist triathlete on the front lines of COVID 19. And this episode really just blows my mind. It's a lot of medical terms, but really, really insightful and a really good look into what it actually takes to both be a COVID 19 patient and also to be the person behind the PPE treating those COVID 19 patients. Some of the things we discuss are how we are currently underreporting the number of COVID 19 patients and how we should be considering clinical diagnosis of patients. And it should be included in the total statistics, not just the laboratory tests, because at this point we know enough so that we're able to actually pinpoint COVID patients just from clinical diagnosis. Second is really interesting on my part actually is how forest bathing can improve your markers, your immune markers by up to 5 points just by being around trees, merely because of all the chemicals that trees actually emit in forest situations. And so this is why forest bathing and myself, I spend a lot of time in the forest, actually improves your immune markers up to 5 points. And that's wow, that's amazing. Um, Another one is one really actually really interesting thing for me is at some point we discussed why she actually wants to be infected right now because it actually frees her from fear. It frees her from being afraid of getting infected. And by getting infected now, you're actually, at some point, because of your immune system, might be safe from COVID 19. And of course, together with this, is we should be really using this time in quarantine to prepare ourselves, just like the hospitals are preparing. We should be preparing ourselves to be infected because at some point we're all going to get infected, and that's something that we all have to think about, all have to prepare for. We have to eat right, exercise, get our sunlight, and all of these things. And so this is a war. We have to prepare our bodies to get hit by the bullets. And of course, one of the interesting stories she shared is actually how she treated her own mentor for COVID 19 and how his symptoms don't align with any of the training that she's actually gotten over the years. And she's had to essentially wing it in treating him. And that was really interesting, especially since her mentor's life was in her hands. Of course, lastly, she's also newly married, and one of the things we discuss is how this lockdown has affected uh, being newly married. She's been married for a year and essentially got stuck in the house with her husband over the last month, and it's like being married for 5 years. She says, um, talking about how intimacy in this quarantine has affected relationships, and that's really interesting for me as well, and will be interesting for all of you. So here it is, Dr. Nina Beltran, pulmonary specialist, triathlete on the front lines of COVID 19.
Where do we start? What do you want to
Yeah.
know?
Well, just a little background on yourself, no? So what do you do, and where did you go to school, I suppose, and of course, what hospitals do you currently work in at the moment?
Well, you particularly presented the gist na already of intro kanina, but significant to this COVID topic, I'm a pulmonologist, internal medicine specialist. I handle patients COVID in UERM. That's my main hospital right now. So we have COVID wards and COVID ER as well. So background, no ba? I graduated from UST, Faculty of Medicine, took my residency there for internal medicine. Tapos nag-fellowship, I had my fellowship degree in Lung Center, the Philippines for Pulmo.
So
So
bakit pulmo? Why was it a particular specialization that you took?
because I was broken-hearted. Joke lang. Ano, wala ko alam sa puso. So, the closest thing to the heart probably is just the lungs.
Right,
Yun
right,
there. Yun,
right. And of course, you're an athlete also, no? You're a triathlete, member of the Aboitis ba? What is your tri team?
well, we try to try. I'm into triathlon, and my team is a Boitis Power tri team. So, yun nga eh. We missed the race because of this
Yeah, all the
lockdown.
races now, they're all canceled, no? Parang, I mean, our race, personally, the race that we organize is also currently postponed. It might be canceled.
Postponed
I
na.
don't know.
Oh, no.
So
Okay.
I'm not yet sure, but yun nga, parang all the triathletes, everybody's stuck at home, walang mga kareras, the whole world essentially. And then yesterday, Tour de France just announced that they're still pushing through, pero delayed by 1 month to August. So hopefully that pushes through. That will be, I think, interesting for the community, at least to spectate Tour de France, no? And then, but of course, I'm not sure what the situation will be in the Philippines regarding the races, no, triathlons and all of these different things. So
Most of them really has canceled already. Couldn't say eh. Wala.
yeah nga parang mahirap talaga, parang week by week the situation changes. So hindi natin talaga masabi. And so you were also just married, no? 1 year ago. 1 year ago. Hindi mo ako inimbita.
Feels like 5 years. Yeah, 1 year, but feels like years because of this lockdown. Imagine being trapped in a
Parang na-compress
confined
yung
space.
buong 5 years in the 1 month of being together.
Adapt, no? Adapt yung getting to know part and knowing about the hidden baho.
wala nang itatago after 1 month together, every morning, evening, lunch.
I guess so. But
So
it's been good. Thanks for asking.
your husband is a in the military, no? Tama ba?
He's just a reservist sa
He's a
Marine.
reservist. Okay, a marine
He's
reservist.
enlisted siya.
Okay, okay. And is he also deployed during this time or no?
What we usually do, he's just acting as para a volunteer individual. But of course, their team or whatever they call it, their unit parang heads several volunteer or NGO activities as well. So mga relief operations, some of
Okay.
his tropa I think are deployed in the checkpoints, mga
Mm-mm.
frontliners, ganun. But him mostly his deck is in delivering or supplying sa mga hospitals ng PPE and whatnot.
Okay, okay. So I was looking at your feed, no. Normally parang daily or maybe 2 or 3 times a week meron kang pinopost na clinic chronicles. And nakakatawa yung mga clinic chronicles mo eh. So can you share some of the stories there with the clinic chronicles and what your experiences are with your patients, no?
Nako, lagot tayo dyan. But it's all written out of fun or I'm
Yeah,
not
of course, of
mocking
course.
and
Yeah. I mean, it's
I love
something a lot of doctors have
fun.
to go through, di ba? Parang, and I'm probably one of those people who might become a clinic chronicle at some point. I would think. I'm not very well
That's my
versed in
friend.
all of these things.
Anyways, kasi ang fun lang. I have this parang status or whatnot in my Facebook feed that tells about my daily encounters with patients na most often than not ang kulit. Like, example ba?
Yeah, example.
Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Like for example, when this outbreak of COVID-19 is about to start, syempre, we've just been hearing it from the other countries, mga ganyan. So we're screening patients. So I received this patient, 24-year-old. So we are told na dapat watch out for cough, colds, fever. So may dumating na pasyente. So that's the complaint. So we had to get the medical or the travel history. So I asked her, do you have travel history po? Meron po ba kayo? Kasi may ubo daw, lagnat, sipon. May pinanggalingan po ba kayo? Ganyan. Tapos sabi niya, yes, doktora, I traveled. So I was afraid. I was really parang scared at that time kasi may travel history. I wasn't wearing enough PPEs or whatever. So, so to check the risk. So sabi niya, travel history niya, galing daw siyang Makati. Okay.
Well, it's
Makati.
travel, di ba? At least, ngayon, that would be legitimate, no? Parang, pag nagsabi sila, galing akong QC. Sa QC. Ngayon, legitimate na yung sagot na yon.
Pandemic. Well, those type of stories. Lalo na yung mga makukulit. I think, like madalas, parang, gano'ng katagal na po yung ubo nyo? Matagal na po. Gano'n na po katagal? Ilang buwan, taon, linggo? So, they couldn't like just tell you 3 days, 2 days. Na diretso.
Right.
Matagal na po. Mga ganyan. Yung kinasal po yung anak ko eh. Malay ko ba kung kailang kinasal anak mo? Parang
That's
ganun.
true, no?
So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I think parang a lot of the doctors I talk to nga have all of these, patient stories, and it's always interesting kasi we're probably a country with very not good enough parang medical information that's known by the public. Parang it's not known that you should be completely honest about your medical history. Madami nga, we've been hearing all of these stories where may mga na-infect na doctors because a patient didn't really tell his whole medical history or his travel history. Baka may tinatago, may mistress or whatever or something. I don't know. All of these things, no? And I think there's the real lack of parang medical education, I would say, for the general public,
just mere ignorance, not really withdrawing or consciously withdrawing their information, but they're really ignorant. They don't know that that's actually important. You're right.
Right. So parang this just happened last month. So this COVID-19, it's surprised all of us. It just happened. And what's the difference between your day last January and your day today? You're parang, as a doctor, how has that all changed, diba? I'm sure ang laki ng pinagkaiba nung 2 months ago and today, no?
I think everybody's lives naman really change at this point, but my usual day should be just going to the clinic and then attending class. I also teach in UERM kasi as a faculty in the med school. So just now, tapos several clinics around the city. Tapos sana 'di ba paghapon workout na, training na.
Right. Oo, 'di ba? Sana. Nasa Akad Oval ka na or something.
I know, sa UP run o kaya swim. But now, it's just like hospital and bahay. So now, we just go to the hospital every day from morning, tapos make my rounds in the COVID ward. I don't go on duties. We have residents who go on duty like 24 hours, 72 hours in the hospital. So these are younger doctors. So kami mga consultant, we just make rounds. Kanila mostly intubated patients, those who are in mechanical ventilators already. So check on them and then make our orders. After that, we go home. So these medical residents are left in the hospital along with the nurses, other frontliners, and they're the ones who parang all night we're on call to just like for the referrals, like, Doktora, pangit yung oxygen. Parang, Doktora, yung gamot, mga ganyan. So, it's like 24 hours,
On
we're really
call.
on.
Oo.
Yeah.
And have how has the number of patients changed since this whole thing started? It started, let's say, first week of March up to now. Parang from the first week of March to now is mid-April. Gaano kalaki yung change sa volume ng patients ninyo?
Well, we have worldometers, 'di ba? Or parang mga surveys that are available online already. But sa personal practice
Mm-mm.
ko, it's more of there's increasing number of more severely presenting patients. Like before kasi mild, talagang pinutakte kami ng mga mild symptoms, even just mga sneezing,
Right.
colds, o kaya just mere headache, mga ganyan. People really come and consult na already. So talagang dagsaan.
Right.
Probably because of lack of information pa at that time on what to do if you have colds. Like,
Mm-mm.
and since we have probably a good system in place na, di ba? May mga instructions that if you're
Yeah,
just mild,
may protocol na, no? Tama.
you have a protocol already. So these are managed at home na. Most of the patients that I see now are really the severe and the critically ill patients. And ang dami, ang dami.
Ang dami.
The the number now, I think, is for my practice and in our institution, it's really underreported because there are majority of patients are not getting tested anymore.
Even the
Uh,
severe patients are not.
yes, yes. Before the testing kits become available o kaya namatay na, wala pa yung results. So,
Mm.
but really, our patients, or we have a lot of patients that present with COVID, pneumonia, and but they don't anymore because probably the testing kits are not available yet,
Mm.
or probably they die. Most of them die before the test results come in. So, and the only record that the DOH have is those who are confirmed cases. So we do not count those cases that are not confirmed by lab. And
Okay,
we get
okay. What you're saying is
like for
there's basically a lot of cases now, like critical cases in your hospital in particular have that present with the COVID symptoms but are no longer tested. And then they go through the whole process hanggang sa mamatay sila and hindi pa sila nabibilang dun sa statistic natin. Is that what you're
that's
saying?
right.
Uh,
That's right. Or hindi na talaga na test. Not in my hospital because of course we have a network of doctors. We have chat groups and research groups that we have now, and same almost similar experience with them too. That most patients are not tested anymore, and these are not counted in our census or in our statistics. So
so essentially the daily briefings of DOH is maybe low by 30%, would you say, based on just looking at your hospital, an approximation?
we I cannot really give a very kahit guesstimate lang. It's very hard at
Yeah,
this point
I'm
really.
sure. I'm sure.
So, but if you would compare like the testing capacity of other countries versus their number of cases, ang layo ng sa Philippines na tayo in just a few, kunwari, in 1,000, ilan ng percent rate ng positive natin who are tested, actually about 90%. What if yung mga hindi pa tested? Diba?
That's true, no?
Like, we only have data from the other countries, like in US today, like 3 days ago, they have been reported na they are starting to flatten the curve in US.
Yeah, pero
So
600,000 na sila, di ba? It's like,
that's right. But the number of cases daily has been stable or gradually decreasing already. But during the last 3 days, just this April uh, 15, 14, they started counting also the cases that are not tested
mhm.
but present clinically. So tumaas yung statistic nila.
So they already
So
considered parang symptoms as COVID.
yeah,
Kumbaga parang ganun na
yeah,
'yon, ano? So I think that that
yes.
should
So
is that something that we should be doing also?
there's a lot of things that we should be
Yeah, of
doing.
course, of course. But just for the numbering, just for the testing, would you say just saying parang kasi at this point you can already tell practically just from the symptoms of the person if they have COVID without really doing the testing. Parang the percentages are probably higher that it's positive based on the symptoms
Yes,
rather than it's negative. Tama ba?
yes, I completely agree. There's this two ways of diagnosing patients kasi. One is just clinical, like the picture is very compatible with the picture of a patient with COVID, and another one is through testing. So with these two, the clinical presentation plus the laboratory testing, that's pag nag-agree sila, that's the time that you um, can confirm a case of COVID. But other countries, even if they just have the clinical diagnosis, they count it as a statistic. So,
Okay.
sa
Yeah.
atin, ang count lang is the confirmed cases.
Confirmed cases. So I think
Yeah.
parang moving forward, it's probably more important for parang transparency and being able to plan for the future, like plan kailangan natin mag-plan in the next 6 months, no, for
Yes.
what
Yes.
you guys need in terms of what the doctors need and what the nurses and healthcare professionals need. So it's actually more prudent to count the clinical cases kasi uh, more is more counted is actually better data essentially. Parang
Exactly. And not just in the clinical setting, also community quarantine lockdown policies, I guess, diba?
right.
Whether they relax already the lockdown. UP researchers or mathematicians from three centers, I think, have published their study.
Yes, I read that
Tatlong,
one. I
yeah,
read
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yung madaming
So,
scenario, is that the one with the
yes, yes.
oo.
So, they explored there kung we have a massive testing in place if we can get a good guesstimate of the population who will
Mhm.
be infected.
Parang what I saw there was without testing, without doing anything, 18 million will be infected by August. That's the
Yeah,
projection. 18 million. So and parang the best case scenario is we will have 900,000 but by June 2021. So we're able to sort of stretch the whole curve by 1 year
mm-hmm.
essentially. Parang ganun yung best estimate nila. And even with the best estimate, there's something like 300,000 people will still die. So
Mm-hmm. That is
medyo
with intervention kasi
that's
they
with interventions,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So the main I think strategy of the Philippines right now is just the lockdown and flattening the curve. And during flattening the curve, yung parang sa lockdown natin is just to prepare healthcare systems and food security, I guess. Pero the number of cases that will be infected will be the same.
Right.
So the
It's just
lockdown will,
basically moving it forward in time, no? Parang we're just moving the whole caseload throughout the year, stretching it throughout the year.
push mo lang, but the curve will still be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So would you say like you work on the front lines, you work with hospitals, how are the preparations going? Are we using this 1 month well? I mean, yeah, Are we using it well? Are we stockpiling PPEs? Are we putting out beds? Are we buying ventilators, medicine, all of these things that need to be done before the lockdown eases a little bit, and then the infections start going further?
Well, that is the plan. During the lockdown, we should prepare the healthcare facility. Well, in our institution like Lung Center and UE, I can also only talk about my
Of course, yes.
institution. I
Oh,
don't
yes. Oh,
know
naman,
the
oh,
other.
naman.
But we are lucky. I guess we are very fortunate to have a very good support group from, like, for example, sa Lung Center, since it's a big um, national center talaga. So at the first 2 weeks of the quarantine, donations really came in and pulled through. Until now, we have actually surplus of PPEs and ventilators. Meron na. It's really adequate. But I should say it's really from the efforts of private sectors and through donations now.
Okay, so
Uh,
the government budget hasn't really stepped in yet.
they have stepped in, but what they can provide definitely is not enough. That
Okay.
we
Kasi
yung majority or
essentially they have to spread that fund throughout the whole country. Ganun ba yung parang, is that the reason why maybe what they're providing is not enough, or I don't know, no? I have no idea.
not say about kung anong ng DOH, I don't know, but really parang it's really spread thin.
Right.
Even if they announced Lung Center, PGH, as one of the COVID centers of the whole country, really, di ba, expect mo dapat mas maraming provisions. It's really
Yeah.
not enough.
Right. Right. I saw the projections on the study, and it said that per patient they need about 30 PPEs throughout their parang 30 PPEs a day nga yata eh. Something like that, or 20 or 30 PPEs a day is what's
Yeah.
needed for one patient. Tama ba 'yon?
More or less, yes. Because parang 3 shift nurses, so in a shift, that's 8 hours, mga ganun. So 20 PPEs a day. So for Lung Center, it's around 400 to 700 PPEs per day. So
400
that
to
is about
700 PPEs per day.
4,000 a week.
And all of these PPEs, they're not reusable.
That is what we are trying to explore. Yeah, the PPEs that are washable and pwedeng i-disinfect. Some PPEs we have so there are no studies, not medical grade, but best effort to disinfect them.
Mm-mm.
A recent study, so that's still what we're exploring. Na some PPEs can be reused. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now that you deal nga with very critical cases, so what are you seeing? Can you maybe describe the process of the infection, like how
Oh,
it starts, how people go through it, what the treatment is?
in a patient.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Uh, for example, we can get as many spectrum in different patients kasi. So the natural course of COVID, when a person is infected, kunwari, you get infected, the average period of time before symptoms develop, kunwari, this is day 1, this is day 0, I get exposed to you who has been
Mm.
infected. After 5 days, mag-incubate pa yung virus inside your body. So there's no symptoms yet. In a studies, 5 to 12 days, that's the time when symptoms would develop. Kaya meron tayong 14 days quarantine after the exposure. Because during the 5 to 12 days, more or less, if you are infected and you will get sick, symptoms will show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but average. Of course, there are outliers. So, when you get sick, ibig sabihin, if you get infected, iba kasi infected and disease, di ba? You can be infected, but you don't have the disease o hindi ka nagkasakit. Okay.
Okay.
So, kung ikaw ay infected and you have the disease, you are symptomatic. So these are the terms that can really bounce back,
Mm-mm.
mag-interchange. Disease, infected, symptomatic. So anong symptoms mo niyan? You have cough. 90% of patients who na magkakasakit ay may ubo. You'll have fever. Upper respiratory tract symptoms like colds, pwede din. Some patients can present with just anosmia o wala kang pang-amoy.
Okay.
Pwede rin yun. And about 20 to 30% fever. Maglalagnat ka na. Ganyan. So if you are well, maganda ang immune system mo, your body is able to combat the disease after 7 to 14 days, your body is able to flush down or flush out the virus on its own. So, you are capable of clearing the virus with or without gamot
Mm.
because you're healthy.
Right.
Yun. So,
Right.
81% of the population is capable of clearing the virus on your own. If you are, yun na, yung good immune system, you're healthy, wala kang comorbidities o wala kang ibang sakit, you're safe. So, you'll get well. So, the other spectrum, when you get infected, wala kang symptoms. Yun naman yung asymptomatic.
Mhm.
Between 5 to 14 days ng quarantine period mo, even if you are infected, you are exposed
Parang
to
normal
infect.
lang.
Parang normal lang, wala ka naramdaman. But during the incubation period and during the quarantine period, you can still be shedding the virus. Ibig sabihin, sa pananalita, paghatching, ahem, ubo, nalanghap ng katabi mo, ganyan. So, you can still infect other people. So that's the danger of those are exposed. So that was termed before as PUM or person under monitoring. So yun. Meron pa
So
bang
so
spectrum?
yung ano ba yun? Like kunwari you're a PUM and you're asymptomatic. For instance, kunwari ako, nagpapawis ako, 'di ba? Can you get infected from sweat or is it something that only from anything that comes from your mouth, or the sweat infectious is something that I would ask.
Okay. So virus can be shed in different ways. Okay. Since it's a respiratory virus, kasi ang favorite part niya kasi talaga is lungs, ang
Mm.
most effective way niya of infecting other people or transmitting itself is still respiratory droplet, yung sa
Okay.
hatching ubo pananalita. But viruses can exist in the virus, this coronavirus can exist in other cells as well. So pag maraming masyadong load ng virus dun sa sweat mo and very close, I guess pwede pa rin. Actually, there have been studies na o kaya lumalabas pati gastrointestinal symptoms like diarrhea
Mhm.
because napasa dun sa pupo and hindi ka nag-hand wash, ganyan. So sa pupo mo, fecal hand to mouth infection, parang
Mhm.
ganun. Oh yes,
Okay.
pwede pa.
Okay. So kasi alam mo naman madami tayong friends no na athlete and they're generally they still want to go out. Meron pa ako nakikita mga tumatakbo sa kalsada. So it's
Yeah.
something that maybe hindi na nila iniisip kasi athlete sila, malalakas, you have that feeling of invincibility. And if you're infected, then definitely you can infect other people around you just from your sweat, no? So that's a
Yeah.
possibility.
And there was a study because of the sweat, tapos lalo na pag heat daw, HIIT, you expel a lot of body fluids. So, more infectious pa daw actually. Uh, when you run outside
Oh, wow.
rather
Okay.
than
All right. All right.
kaya.
Wow. Okay.
So,
So,
let's discourage na lang muna.
kaya nga eh. Kaya nga. Kaya nga ako, at home na lang, umiikot-ikot sa sa bahay or just, body weight exercise. So for yung mga critical patients mo, is there something that is, I would say, similar between all of them? Is there something that you see as similarities between all of your critical patients at the moment who have COVID-19?
So we're talking about just the COVID critical patients,
Critical, yeah,
no?
just the critical patients.
Yeah. Of course, there are similarities with more cases that we see each day. Parang we define the clinical picture of COVID pneumonia more accurately. Kasi dati, kaya siya new because the pneumonia presents differently from other types of pneumonia infection.
Mhm.
So, uh, the similarities is we could go a little bit technical, I guess.
That's fine, yeah,
Dito,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Oh, pwede
this,
yan.
this is types of pneumonia already. So that's why coronavirus is a bit scary and parang we can say na talagang life-threatening because uh, this kind of pneumonia can be characterized similarly with patients with ARDS or acute respiratory distress syndrome. Now, this is a very severe kind of pulmonary disease na nag-edema o kaya there is a lot of inflammatory factors going on in your lungs and you know if there is inflammation sa lungs mo because of the infection, nagkakatubig ito, mga ganyan. So a lot of things are going on and the lungs take a lot of toll. Ang favorite kasi ng SARS-CoV-2 virus is the receptors, particularly in your small airways. Talagang target niya yon. Kaya baga talaga yung number one target organ. So, how is this different from other pneumonia? Well, actually, uh, uh, right now, it's different from other pneumonia or other ARDS because it's a bit technical, but ang ARDS kasi, we have defined it, we have protocols, it's more of a um, ventilation perfusion problem, but this novel coronavirus, it does not respond to the usual
Treatment.
management protocols of ARDS. So, dati kapag ARDS lang na caused by pneumonia, kayang-kaya na ng mechanical ventilator, antibiotic, uh, ano tawag ito, mga immune boosters, mga ganyan, and some proning position, mga ganon, mga strategies. Now, these ARDS protocol are not working. Cannot be applied to the T, to this kind of pneumonia. There has been identified a different type of pneumonia. Can I go into the detail? Can you
Yes,
still
yes.
follow?
Oo naman, oo naman. Yeah, I can still follow. Ano ako?
Oh,
Biology undergrad. So I understand some of it.
this is really interesting kasi kaya siya novel coronavirus kasi okay, there's two types of pneumonia, the H type sa ARDS to, H type and L type. So this time, this is the L type that does not respond to mechanical ventilation or yung high PEEP na sinasabi namin, tinutulak mo yung hangin sa baga.
Oo.
Dapat re-respond na. So this L type of pneumonia that is presenting with sa COVID patients, hindi ganun yung response niya. Okay, I will explain in layman's term.
Okay, okay.
Okay, just an example. Like, I have a patient, very close to me. He's actually my mentor.
Okay.
I had I had a clinical dilemma at that time. Kasi his picture, his pulmonary picture is very ARDS talaga. Hypoxemia, napakababa po ng oxygen, bagsak na bagsak ang oxygen niya, talagang haywire yung bagsak ang taas ng mga pulmonary markers, mga ganyan. Sirang-sira yung baga, CT scan is really destroyed, all the inflammatory picture is there. So, lahat ng indikasyon ko na dapat i-intubate siya, nandun na. Ibig sabihin na intubate is to already introduce mechanical ventilation because laboratory-wise, he should be intubated already. But when you see these kinds of patients, sirang-sira yung baga, pero ang itsura niya, nagsasalita, hindi naman hirap, walang halos simptomas. Pangit lang talaga yung X-ray. So,
Weird, huh?
really. So, it's really baffling because it really negates what we know about ARDS or what we expect as its clinical picture. That's why there will always be a difficulty in diagnosing patients also kasi they may not present as super fast.
Dapat pag ganun, hindi na sila nakakatayo, di ba? If you have low oxygen and everything.
Yes. So, imagine how many patients out there who doesn't feel anything pero sirang-sira na yung baga.
Yeah, let me show you lang a photo. My brother is a nurse in Colorado in the US. And he showed me this. He showed me a photo of, let me show you. It's a photo of lungs.
Yeah.
And it's basically, wait, let me show. Paano ba yun? There's a share screen.
Yeah.
Here. Ayan. Can you see that? It's a photo of a lungs and it's basically parang there's nothing anymore. No? Parang,
it's classic ARDS.
Yeah, that's classic ARDS. No?
That's right. So, puting-puti yung baga, if you can make a ninag, diba? Like for people who cannot read x-rays, the ribs you can see. So, ribs, buto yan. And ribs, very solid. If you cannot, the lungs should be black kasi hangin yun. So, if it's as opaque as the bone and your heart, ganun din kadami na infiltrates inside your lungs already. So if you don't see much itim or the lungs, which is the air supposedly, you can just imagine the amount of air entering the lungs. Wala na. Kasi walang itim. So there is no room for gas exchange in that one. So you can just imagine the patient, how do they breathe.
Pero sabi niya nga, this patient actually looked okay. I mean, parang outward appearance niya. This is exactly what you're saying, no? Parang the patient who has this X-ray looked like he was fine. So parang sobrang weird daw.
So that was our dilemma at that time. Actually, with all indications, I agree with your kapatid. With all indications, yung ganyan ang itsura, sa amin, intubate na yan. Ibig sabihin, at that picture, he cannot breathe on his own. So, but clinically, okay yung patient, ganyan. There were studies now that actually intubation would be detrimental to that kind of patient. Mas makakasama pa pala if you introduce high PEEP or parang oxygen toxicity or whatever. So, during that time, it was really a hard call because there were no clear-cut guidelines for doctors with this type of pneumonia until recently nga. Meron na explanation na it's not just a simple ARDS. There would be two kinds of pneumonia. So, di ba, it's really a call for the doctor. I mean, dasal ako ng dasal noon because with my training, I guess, parang sinabi ko na lang, treat the patient, not the labs. So I was looking at the patient despite that the laboratory or his x-ray, all his lab tests are signaling me to, you know, so to intubate him or put him in mechanical ventilator. But we bought time, tried to give non-interventional medications. Actually, it's the human body's capability of really flushing this or recovering from this virus talaga yung innate immune system ang
Mm.
pinakagamot sa COVID. So, luckily, it was a it was a good call.
That's the right
And
call.
yeah, and well, ngayon lang lumalabas yung mga, that was 3 weeks ago. So ngayon lang lumalabas yung mga studies, why patients present this way. So
Wow, that's something, no? Parang you don't know how to treat and you have to throw away all the knowledge you've built up over, doctors go to school for a very long time to get all of this knowledge. And then parang all of a sudden there's this new virus and then it presents with stuff that you have to treat it completely differently. Kumbaga MacGyver kayo right now, you're ma- you're building new treatments for
yeah,
this whole thing.
and the guidelines or the findings studies are really fast. I mean, at light speed ngayon yung information. Like every day you have to study. Every day you have to keep updated on is this gonna be good for the patient? Is it gonna be detrimental to the patient? What is true 2 weeks before may not necessarily be true today. So para it's gonna be a real good effort for a doctor to save one life at this time. Kasi we have nothing.
Right, that's right, no? Ang hirap niyan. But is there, for your patients now, is there a similarity between them? Are they of a certain age? Obese ba
Mm,
sila? Do they have,
yes.
so
Uh, of course, very compatible din naman yung subset of patients that we see here, like the critically ill and the severely ill patients are really those who are elderly, who are have comorbid diseases. Comorbid means they have other illness like cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetic, on maintenance medication, mga ganyan. So these are the subset of patients that are really hit hard with this virus. So although there's a small number of patients as well, I have as young as 90-year-old student na patient who has also been infected.
critical din
So,
yon? The 19-year-old is also in a
oo
critical state.
naman. Uh, same with what you showed me with the X-ray. Very bad picture of CT scan and chest X-ray, but he's well.
Oh, okay, okay.
He's,
So it's one of those patients na gano'n, no?
mm,
So,
so
as a doctor who deals with this every day, well, hindi naman every day. You have a specific program. You said 1 week on, 2 weeks off. That's correct, no? 1 week on, 2 weeks off. Are you afraid? Natatakot ka ba? Like when you go to work, natatakot ka ba?
oh well, at first I was more curious than, I don't know, siguro nerd lang or whatever, because nga we've been reading about the virus from outside ganyan. So I was eager. I was eager and foolishly eager, I guess, to even volunteer at first to see these patients. Pero when I see coworkers and other staff, frontliners who are, even if they are careful, really get infected, they get sick. Yes, of course, I am so afraid. um, nakakapraning to go in and out of the hospital na merong time na kumati lang lalamunan ko. I mean, am I infected, mga ganyan, or
Right.
mapa-ehem lang ako, bibilang ko yung ehem ko everyday. Is
Ginagawa
this
ko din yan ngayon. Hindi pa ako doctor sa lagay na yan. So I can imagine your life, no?
is this counted as cough already? Parang, di ba? I feel hot. Is this fever? Okay, so every day you monitor yourself and well, we're just banking on our immune system, yung returns ng ating pag-workout
Right, right.
and to boost our immune system because actually studies right now is coming out in combating COVID infections. It's not really the medications, but it's actually boosting your immunity that would really eradicate this infection sa human body. So
Yes, because essentially,
vitamins, good nutrition pa rin.
right.
Yeah.
Essentially
Yeah,
viral, it's you can't really treat it with medicine, di ba? Parang it's really you need your body to work on the virus. Parang ganun
that's
yung
right. There is no antibiotics or no medication for viral infection yung directly killing the viruses.
right.
These medications that are supporting our own immune system that would kill the virus. So these are your vitamins. Ito yung mga binibigay natin. These are
Mhm.
your actually sleep is
Sleep,
even prescribed.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Uh,
Actually, pinag-usapan namin yan nung functional medicine doctor on the first
mhm.
episode of this podcast na sleep, getting those 8 hours is super important in terms of boosting your immune system. Yeah.
It does, and it has actually a role in the treatment of COVID. Ngayon, we give melatonin
Oh,
to
wow.
let patients. Yes, yes.
So can you
Um,
take us through what kind of treatment do you give COVID patients now? What is the treatment protocol? You mentioned melatonin as one of the components of treatment, and so I'll just let you continue.
yeah. For mild patients, it's really like immune boosters lang. Eh. We give vitamin C, 500 milligrams twice a day, high doses of zinc, mga
Zinc,
ganun.
talaga.
Yeah, zinc. Vitamin D. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
these are the vitamins that have clinical studies who have effects on viral infection. It's
Okay.
not really, yeah,
So
masyadong
increasing
technical.
the
Pwede
immune
natin
response.
pag-usapan ito. Ha? Yeah.
Increasing the immune response essentially.
It's not really directly killing the virus, but really boosting your immune response. So, yes, sleep. If you can't sleep, we give supportive treatment like melatonin, yeah, like that. So, ganun. We still give antibiotics sometimes kasi most often than not, if viral infection is not controlled, o kaya natatalo yung body mo na viral infection, it gives a way to super infection of bacteria.
That's
So,
right.
minsan, dalawa yun. We give antibiotics as well.
So
For,
for critical
uh,
patients, what's the treatment like? How do you treat the critical patients?
there's still no hard data regarding the management. There's no possible clinical control trials ngayon. So, lahat anecdotal lang, pasa-pasa. So, but in some guidelines that they have released, we give the anti-malarial drug, which is the chloroquine or
Hydroquinone.
hydrochloroquine. Yes. Actually, it does not kill the bacteria. Actually, it helps the zinc enter the cell. So, di ba, it kills
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
that kills the bacteria. Hydroquinone, some antiviral medications are also being given, but not walang studies yet. So whatever you can give, parang binibigay na eh. But right now, in critical patients, since we have survivors already that can donate their blood,
Mm-hmm.
there is a thing we call parang plasma concentrate transfusion,
So you're
where it
transfusing their immune bodies to from one
and
patient to
plasma.
another.
Yes, Yes, a patient who has been infected but anong tawag dito, but revives but is recovered,
Mm-hmm.
ibig sabihin, your body is able to trump over the bacteria. Kasi two ways lang naman si virus ang response niya sa body. Either the virus trumps the body, so you die, or your body trumps the bacteria or the virus. So if your body trumps the virus, that means you're able to mount enough antibodies to clear the virus from your body. So pag ikaw ay survivor, you are able to you have enough antibodies already in your system. So these survivor patients are really critical because we can transfuse their blood to patients with COVID kasi meron na silang antibodies to combat directly the active viral infection.
To be clear lang, no, this is not a direct transfusion of blood. You still need to process the blood and then take out the plasma that has the
Yes,
antibodies.
yes, that's just convalescent plasma. It's just getting a volume of blood in your body. Tapos isi-centrifuge, you get the white part,
Mm-mm.
which is the plasma. Plasma contains a lot of your antibodies. So that is the one that is transfused back to the
Okay.
patient.
And you've seen this effectively work in some of your patients.
In our patient, it has only been applied in our institution this week. So
Okay.
ganon siya ka-new. So
Okay.
we do not have that statistics yet. And it's very hard to pinpoint really what works or not works in this situation kasi we try to give everything. So somebody nag-work doon. Is it the plasma?
Right,
Is it the
right.
hypo? Yeah. So, but you're pushed at the back of the wall. You have to give everything. So,
Tama, tama. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A few last questions, no? Just parang you go out every day and then you come back. What's your protocol when you enter the house? Is there a certain may mga friends kasi akong doctor na bubuksan nila lahat ng
yeah.
pintuan hanggang sa toilet and or they take off all their clothes before papasok.
Thank you for asking that. Kasi ang daming, what do you call that? Wrong understanding of how
Mm.
the virus spread. I even heard about foot baths, mga ganun.
Right, right.
Okay,
Oo.
it's just if you can just understand the pathophysiology kung paano nata-transfer ang virus, hindi naman kailangan magpaka-OA. But of course, you have to take extra precautions. So, um, just out of sa hospital, I wear parang standard PPE. So, my outside clothes are not directly exposed to the secretions of patients. So, naka-standard PPE ka, tapos pag papasok ka pa sa loob ng pasyente, naka-enhanced PPE ka. That's the astronaut suit
Okay.
there. So you have triple protection already when you're inside the patient's room. And then when you get out, meron ka pang second layer of protection. And then when you get home, yun na nga. So Lysol the car. Of course, hand washing, triple hand wash yan after going to the patient. But here, we have a den. So parang sa garden, we have hangers already to hang our coats and whatever. Because sunlight apparently can kill the UV lights can
UV
kill
light.
the
Okay.
viruses. Yeah. So UV lights can kill the viruses as well. But we cannot really say kasi the amount or duration of time when it will be killed. That's
Right.
a whole new discussion, I guess,
It
because
hasn't been studied yet siguro, no? Siguro there's a lack of information there.
There has been a lot of information already, but yung sunlight kasi is very unstable source of UV and different types of UV.
Mhm.
So, just a concentrated amount of time, for example, in just an oven, 72 degrees to 90 degrees dapat for at least 3 hours bago mamatay. So, imagine na lang that
That's
the
right.
length of time.
Mahaba yun. Ano?
So it's really not advisable or enough ang sunlight itself, 'di ba? Just
Right.
to kill
That's true.
bacteria.
That's true. So
So
it's
deter
wala ka naman parang weird ano ba tawag dyan? Process. So when you get home, you take out your stuff and then it's essentially you leave it
ano,
outside.
yeah, soak agad sa soap and water my
Soak
clothes.
agad. Okay. So every
Yeah,
day, all your clothes for the day,
you
you soak it. Wala nang ulit ng damit.
no, wala na ulit ng damit. Kasi it can cling lalo na sa mga woven cloth. So
Okay.
it can cling to the woven cloth. It has been known that the virus can persist in cloth for days, for several days.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Okay. All right.
So, bleach o kaya yung mga simple detergents or soap can actually kill the bacteria. So, soak it already in water. Tapos
Okay.
take a bath agad. Yun lang.
Okay.
Meron daw
So
weird dun sa, wala naman yatang weird.
wala naman. Actually, parang that's what I've heard from other doctors then normally
Yes.
nag-set na sila ng timba sa labas where they take off all their clothes and then doon nila ilalagay. Tapos diretso sa banyo maliligo bago
Yes.
mag-interact sa pamilya.
I do not agree kasi with those who provide foot baths sa kanila, yung merong mat or disinfectant for the shoes.
Right.
Take your shoes, di ba? You don't and then touch your face. So, it's not really practical to soak your shoes.
Right. So ikaw like
Pero,
do you wash your shoes every day or is it do you have
okay.
so yung sapatos mo may sapatos ka pang hospital lang, I would say, parang ganun.
Yes, yes. Yun na lang.
Oo,
Just to
yun na
limit
lang.
the spread.
Oo,
Pero
separate shoes
kasi
for
it's
the hospital.
now, the main mode of transmission pa rin naman is through hand to mouth, inspiratory, mga ganyan. So hindi ko naman, unless may fetish ka sa shoes mo, yes
Right,
please.
right.
Oh, there's this other thing because you've seen mga sprayers like that in
Prayers,
the
yes, I've
community.
seen. Dito sa amin may ganun.
Yeah, yung mga ganyan.
So what's your opinion on this?
Good that now, medyo late na nga naglabas yung DOH. Dati pa kasi na wala siyang sense. It has no effect in killing the virus. Actually, the bactericidal and antiviral effect of the bleach kasi is also killed in sunlight. So if you, di
Okay.
ba yung mga spray na ganyan, o di pag-release pa lang, wala na
Tatamaan ng
yung,
UV light tapos
that's right.
magre-react siya.
So, binasa mo lang siya. And the
Ah,
capacity is not already,
I see, I
uh,
see.
hindi na siya effective. So, waste of resources siya. And
Okay.
yung method of spraying, kasi ginagamit yan sa different type of virus. That's the ASF, kaya hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Right. So
Kasi
yung mga sa baboy and manok, ganyan.
yun ginagawa yun. Iwa-wash down talaga siya. Kasi contact siya eh.
Right, right. Pero parang given we know so little no about this virus, hindi ba added precaution yun kahit kung sabihin natin wala namang wala namang effect or sayang lang resources, you would say.
Not even if you don't know the virus, you know naman the bleach. It gets
Okay, okay.
inactivated in sunlight.
Oh, okay. So the bleach itself being inactivated in sunlight makes it completely useless. It's like spraying water. Kumbaga, parang ganun ang
Yeah,
nangyayari.
and it's toxic, toxic siya sa plants environment. And if you inhale it, it's also toxic to your lungs.
Okay.
So mm, chemical irritant pa siya. Bang
Okay.
magkasakit pa. Mm.
Okay. One last question before we go through this. Pag umaalis ka ng bahay, no, to go to the hospital every 2 weeks, essentially, is it something that you think of na possibly mahawa ako and then hindi ko na makikita yung asawa ko or yung family ko, I'd be stuck in the hospital. Kasi automatic you'd be quarantined, no? That's normally what would happen, right? If you get sick. Eh,
Yeah.
is that like
Actually, how do I explain this? Medyo perverse yung idea ko kasi. This
right, right?
is not,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
I
no,
mean,
this is
it's just a scenario.
just a personal thinking. It's no guidelines, but
Mm-mm.
actually, I want to get infected.
You want to get
Uh,
infected, okay?
yes, because that's the time. If you get infected, that's the only time. Short of having a vaccine, that's
That's the
the
only time
only
you're safe,
time that I'm safe. Yes, and that we can really move on already. Kasi may antibodies ka na, you'll be immune.
right?
And anong tawag dito? I know that I have a good immune system, healthy, exercise, I eat
Mm-mm.
well, mga ganyan. So, I personally, wala akong masyadong fear. I want to have the IgG and IgM antibodies already.
Okay.
So, we can,
I think you're the first person I've talked to na parang I want to be infected is your answer to that question.
it's not a very diverse thinking kasi some countries, those who did not lock down, yun
Mhm.
yung ano nila eh. Yun yung premise nila no,
That's
to
true.
have everybody infected so that we could already affect herd immunity. So if
Yes,
everybody is immune already, the virus, wala nang kakapitan kasi
that's
kaya na
true.
ng infection
Parang the
to kill.
population. Pero this is a little dangerous idea, no? Because we're in the Philippines. Eh. Those other countries are first world countries that have very good
Yes.
healthcare systems compared to ours. And really what the
Yes.
lockdown really does is allow us to prepare for when we start
Right.
getting to that herd immunity process. And no, ako, I agree with you na at some point everybody's going to get infected. Is this something that you think will eventually happen? Parang the majority of us will get the virus.
Yeah, you're right about other countries that have parang good healthcare system. And if they get sick, maganda yung support group nila. But what I'm saying is just it's not just the healthcare facilities here in the Philippines that should be preparing. I mean, personally, kaya sinabi ko, I might want to get infected already because I've also been preparing myself. Kasi
Right.
alam na natin at one point in time, we will be infected.
Parang
We won't be,
it's not even a question of if we will be infected. It's just when, ano? I think.
it's just, so preparing ourselves also since you know that it's your immune system that will ultimately battle this ano to virus. So eating healthy, no, ang sarap nga eh, no fast food now. It's
That's
all
true,
home.
yeah.
Diba? So your nutrition is better. You get at home. You have time to do your exercise, have enough sleep. Kasi these are all founded now and maganda kasi uh, patients or people now are more aware of how these going back to nutrition or just having enough sleep, water, exercise can really boost your immune system kasi yun yung gamot sa virus. So I guess
Exactly.
I'm also preparing myself for that
Right, right.
since I know that, yeah.
So that's exactly what parang this whole quarantine period has also forced everyone to rethink their actual health, no? I've seen like kunwari yung mother ko who's not really someone who exercises at all. And so ngayon parang nakikita ko siya nagpapaaraw and naglalakad-lakad sa compound. And it's something that like just like we're preparing the healthcare system, we also need to prepare our bodies because eventually we are going to get infected, and it's not a matter of if we'll get infected, it's when we'll get infected. Hopefully a little bit down the line when there's more treatment options available, uh,
Back,
or the
yeah.
vaccine, no, but generally
Mhm.
it's more parang we have to use this time to actually prepare our bodies to receive
Agree.
the virus. Kumbaga, parang that's one of the things we need to be doing.
Agree completely. And I just wanted to add another thing pala regarding mga studies now that show that have effect in boosting your immune system. And I think you'd really be interested in this one.
Mhm.
Uh, have you heard about forest bathing?
Oh yes, of course. Alam mo naman ako, I'm always in the forest.
That is so awesome because they tried it in viral infections.
Mhm.
So it actually decreases about 5 point magnitude in the incidence of viral infections in people who forest bathe.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
there was a study na parang 2 days sila the population was made to walk just 2 kilometers to 4 kilometers per day for 2 days. And for just a day, they have an increase already in the NK cells or basta yung mga immune system mo, yung
Right.
markers mo.
5 point
Um,
increase. Malaki 'yon, ano? Tama ba? Malaki
yes,
'yon.
in just 2 days. Sobrang laki nun. Sobrang laki nun. Decrease in the incidence of respiratory infection.
Right, right.
Up to 1 month ang effect. Seven
Mm.
days peak pa siya and then it gradually goes down ng 1 month. So,
Buti pala
I
right
think, diba,
before this quarantine, I was in the forest.
and so even not just forest, just being around trees. Actually, it's the chemicals that trees exude pala that's really helping.
Oh, okay. So
You, so,
it's also
yeah.
stress, maybe stress related. Parang you're less stressed when you're around nature, and that also helps to boost your immune system.
Yes, and actually, it's the study is actually the on of how you de-stress. Pala,
Mm.
kaya pala you are less stressed when you visit a forest, mountain, basta you're just around nature because these chemicals actually lessen inflammatory. So, hindi siya, yung inflammatory factors kasi sila yung stress hormones in the mountains.
Right, right, right.
So, nakakababa siya. Amazing. We miss the mountains.
Yeah, nga eh. Well, after this, no, you can come up here. I owe you a beer, sabi ko nga, di ba? So, you and your husband, you can come up to
Years
Baguio.
ago,
And
you
yung
owe
beers
years
are on
ago.
me. So, last few questions. Is there a book that you're currently reading? Um,
Ooh, a lot.
a lot.
Uh,
What book would you recommend? This is the current book I'm reading, Life After the State, which I think may be adequate for what's happening today.
ito pa hindi connected. Well, I'm
Yeah, pwede namang hindi
reading
connected. I just parang what kind of books do you read? Diba? What
the
book
Blue.
would you
Oh,
recommend?
I'm reading now Trip to Quiapo
Trip to
because
Quiapo.
it's from Ricky Lee because I'm also in his workshop, writing workshop.
Okay, okay.
So, very hard to get in. So
Yeah.
during this ECQ, we've been selected to be under his mentorship.
Wow, lucky, yeah.
Okay. Pero book to recommend is Rashomon.
Rashomon. Okay.
Have you read this?
No, no, I have not read that.
This is actually a classic Japanese short story book. Um, author by Rashomon. Short stories, pero medyo dark. I'm so sorry.
Okay, okay.
Medyo, medyo dark and twisted, but good literary piece.
All right.
Let me
Uh,
know.
yeah.
Feedback mo dito.
Okay, Rashomon. I'll put it in the show notes for people who are interested to read the books that you read. Any
That's a
podcasts that
small
you
book.
recommend? Anything that you regularly listen to?
Uh, I don't listen much, but definitely your podcast.
Yes. That's the way.
Will follow it starting yesterday.
Okay, okay. Ngayon lang tayo nagka-Spotify, so you can only follow it today. So,
Awesome, awesome. So, oh, that's on your list. You're the first podcast that I will follow
yes, thank you.
aside from the learn how to speak Mandarin.
Ayun. Learn how to speak Mandarin. So, after this whole thing, parang dapat marunong ka na mag-Chinese. New World
Great.
Order. Anyway, Nina,
Yes,
thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much. Sobrang enlightening for me learning about all of these things. And I'm sure for the listeners also, uh, there's really this whole, kumbaga parang cloud of misinformation out there on what COVID-19 is, what the disease can do to your body, what we can do. Parang there's so much fear. And I think doctors like you and practitioners can help really cut through the fog, for a lot of people, and explain, what exactly happens to your body and what we can expect. And like you said, 80% of us, most of us, will actually survive this, and how to actually build your bodies back, and it really helps to cut through a lot of the fear that's happening now. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
All right. Salamat, salamat.